Our top focus story is from Maharashtra. More than 1,800 madrasas being run in Maharashtra will not be considered schools anymore. In a notification issued by the state government, madrasas have now been classified as non-schools, and this move apparently aims at bringing madrasa students into the mainstream of formal education. This is especially tough on students who've now been declared out of school children. According to a 2013 report, there are nearly 2,000 madrasas in Maharashtra with 1.48 lakh students, almost 1.5 lakh students studying in these 2,000 odd madrasas. The curriculum involves 7-year education in subjects including Arabic, Hindi, Urdu, maths and science. After this, students can either leave or opt for post-graduation for another 5 years. And India Today has accessed exclusively the Maharashtra Minority Department's letter that suggests that madrasas should be designated as non-schools. Madrasa students should be declared as non-school going. The letter clearly shows that the Maharashtra Minority Ministry is writing to the Education Department saying that students who go to madrasas should not be considered as those who go to regular schools. Minority groups are up in arms and say this is anti-Muslim. So is this madrasa mainstreaming of madrasas, or is this anti-minority? The Devendra Fadnavis government is in the eye of a storm. Joining me is Sanjay Jha of the Congress party. Taslim Ahmad Rahmani is the president of the Muslim Political Council of India, and Dr. Sambit Patra, the national spokesperson of the BJP, also joins me on the broadcast. Sambit Patra, the opposition in Maharashtra says this move of the Devendra Fadnavis government is anti-Muslim.
Now, how can, Gaurav, this be anti-Muslim? If we talk of bringing people to the mainstream, if we talk of seeing to the fact that the Muslim community also gets educated in parallel to what the other communities in the country are, and if we talk of the fact that they should also become engineers and doctors, how can it be anti-community? I mean, if we go into the right to education, we would see that according to right to education, the curriculum has to be within the framework of the national curriculum framework. It's but natural that if the teaching is not within the national curriculum framework, then we have to advance in such a manner that the students in various educational institutions are brought to the mainstream, and that is what has been done over here.
Sanjay Jha, why are you opposed? Let me get Sanjay Jha to respond to that quickly. Sanjay Jha, why is the Congress party opposed to mainstreaming of madrasa education? The BJP says that's all they're doing.
You know something, Gaurav, the Bharatiya Janata Party, if you look at its performance in Maharashtra, it has got a very systematic pattern to it. You know, there was a Bombay High Court verdict that stayed reservations but allowed for 5% reservations for Muslims in school education as well as in terms of jobs. This government of Devendra Fadnavis did not implement it. There is absolutely no denying that madrasas could benefit from modernization. But to suddenly say that they're de-recognized will be actually kind of saying, if I have a headache, I cut the head off. The truth is that end of day, whether it's a beef ban that's happened a few months ago, and now they de-recognize it of madrasa, there is an attempt at polarizing, creating religious polarization in Maharashtra.
I will get Sambit Patra to respond to that. 3 points you've raised that. I will get Sambit Patra to respond to that. But I want to quickly get in Dr. Rahmani for more on this. Is this, Taslim Ahmad Rahmani, is this mainstreaming of madrasa education? The BJP says there are several politicians who want to keep Muslims uneducated or in ghettos or only give them a certain kind of education. If they follow the curriculum laid out by Maharashtra board, they will continue to get all aid, all support. Is this step anti-Muslim, sir?
You see, we already knew that this can happen. So when this Right to Education Act bill become an act in 2011 or 13 somewhere, we raised this question that time itself. And I want to remind to Sambit Patra and Sanjay Jha both that after we raised the voice and we led a movement against that right to education, particularly the definition clause of the right to education, we got it amended, and education word was defined as all the educations imparted in madrasas, shishu mandirs, and schools. Everything has been termed and defined as a mainstream education.
So
As
you
far
think
as,
this Devendra Fadnavis government
bringing
step
the
is
madrasa-
anti-Muslim? If they say you will get
I
aid, you
think-
will
I
get
think
support,
they
you will
did
be
not
treated as
read-
school
they-
only
they
if
did
you
not-
follow Maharashtra
they
government
are-
curriculum.
Even Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi has not read the amendment in the Right to Education Act, and it's very clear, there is no confusion about that. But they want deliberately, they want to avoid those amendments, and they want to say that this is not a mainstream education, while the fact remains, when after, as you said earlier, that after attaining the 7 years education in Madrasa, there are provisions that they can go to sub-universities for becoming doctors, engineers, and that. And then number 2 point I want to tell to Mr. Sambit Patra that this is very important that we make engineers, doctors, and other professions the same way we need. Every community of the country need Maulvis and Pandit to be trained to preach their own religion as per the constitutional provisions available under Article 25.
Respond to this, Sambit Patra. The allegation is this move is anti-Islamic because you only want them to follow the state government curriculum to get aid, education, and recognition. The Congress alleges there is a pattern to your movement. The beef ban, not giving 5% reservation to Muslim students in educational institutions, and now de-recognizing madrasa education.
Knowingly, some people are not trying to understand as to what has been done in this particular case. There is a survey on July 4 as far as the right to education clause is concerned as to how many people are not in the formal education system. And in this survey, out of school, in fact, the people in madrasa would be considered out of school. It is not a permanent thing. Secondly, we are not saying that the madrasas to be de-recognized or they should be closed, as Sanjay Jha was suggesting, that the head needs to be chopped off. No, the head remains in the place. The madrasa remains in its place. The Islamic doctrine that it was preaching remains in place. We don't want any interference with that. We do not want any change in that. All that the Maharashtra government is suggesting is please add these 4 basic subjects of formal curriculum net framework, which is essential as per the RTE, and in that whatever money you expend to the tune of 5.5 lakh, please take it from the government. So take this money, install computers, start mathematics, language, science, and social studies apart from what Islamic doctrine that you are preaching. We do not
respond to that, Sanjay.
So how
what
this
is wrong in this step of the Maharashtra government? They're saying teach Islam, teach Deen, but also teach Dunyavi, teach the education that is required today, whether it's English, social sciences, mathematics. What is wrong in this step?
Gaurav, let me tell you that Sambit Patra is being highly disingenuous today.
Dr. Rahmani, I'll come to you in a moment. I'm going to Sanjay Jha on a very specific question. Dr. Rahmani, I'm coming to you in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Sanjay Jha, what is wrong if madrasas also teach computer sciences, mathematics, English, social sciences?
Absolutely. In fact, let me tell you that when you read the entire story of the madrasa's origins in India, Gaurav, you will find that several of them, not all, several of them are actually teaching humanities. They're teaching history, geography, computer applications, literature, English.
So what is wrong if all of them, Sanjay Jha, what is wrong if not some, but all teach the same curriculum, get the same certificates so that they can also compete in examinations and go for colleges? Because there is a problem when there is no standardization of education in madrasas, their future suffers. So mainstreaming, why is it such a bad idea?
But you know, you're missing the larger point here, Gaurav. The issue here is that de-recognizing madrasas. Now, the fact is that madrasas actually have only 4 to 5% of the Muslims who study there. The majority don't. It's a perception that every Muslim student goes to a madrasa. I think the larger point here is that why are you de-recognizing those that exist? Because they are termed as educational institutions. They are, even in the existing infrastructure, as I think somebody already mentioned, are producing people who go on and do higher education or who are part of the secondary education. Definitely, this government itself announced a 100 crore modernization fund for madrasas. They need to use that effectively, maybe augment.
Respond to that, Sambit Patra. Sanjay Jha raises a fair point. Why de-recognize madrasas? Why not bring them all up to par so that aid them, give them education? Madrasa education is good. it's cheap, it's free, it's next door, and it's the economically weaker section that goes there to study. So the government should give them computers, the government should give them aid
That's what
so
I
that
have
they
been
can give
telling.
good education.
Gaurav,
Why de-recognize them?
Gaurav, no one has de-recognized madrasas. Please
Treat them
take
as
away
out of
that.
school.
No, treat the student as out of school because the head count is going on as to what amount of money would be expended to bring these people back into the system of formal education. Naturally, if the madrasa is to be modernized, which is a promise of Modi government for which 100 crores have been sanctioned in 2014 election, the Maharashtra government also wants to do a head count to see as to how much money needs to be pumped in that particular direction, in that particular field. And it's a welcome sign. No one is de-recognizing madrasas. Madrasas would be there where they are. They will continue doing what they are doing. Apart from that, they will add these 4 subjects, take money from the fund that has been given for modernization from the government. So we are not interfering with madrasas. We are not de-recognizing. We are adding what was just a second.
Gaurav.
We are adding what was required as per the national curriculum framework under the RTE. That is all. What is wrong in it?
Okay. The question, okay, Dr. Rahmani has a question for Sambit Patra. Go ahead, Dr. Rahmani.
Yeah, I want to ask Sambit, why you want to interfere in the curriculum of Madrasa? This is the Madrasa people
this
who
is
will
a
decide what
question.
syllabus they should say. If in a university, in a medical college, will you go to over there to teach them the Islamic education or compel them to include in syllabus the Islamic or the Hindu or the Christian? Will you do that? No. Likewise, in the madrasa education, what syllabus should be taught? This must be sole prerogative of the madrasa people who are expert for that. So why do you want to interfere? Why you want to compel them? Why you want to put
Dr.
the
Patra,
condition
respond to that.
only if you teach these 4 subjects, then
Gaurav,
you will go.
Okay,
Mr.
Dr. Rahmani,
Rahmani,
you made your point. Dr.
Mr.
Patra, respond.
Rahmani has exposed what I was about to say. No one is interfering. Why was I using the word interfere number of times? Because I knew that this was what was going to come. No one is interfering in what they want to teach. All we want to say is please add
Then
some
why
modern
these
subjects as well.
conditions?
And to this, Mr. Rahmani says no.
Why?
Say no. Just a second. Say no to modern education. The Congress says say no to modern education. Why? Because they want that the poor, helpless Muslims should be pawns in the hand of these politicians
No, it's
and
not
should
the
play to
poor,
vote
helpless.
banks. They don't.
That's a
want
very
to
serious
liberate.
allegation
They
that
don't
Sambit
want
Patra is
to
leveraging
liberate.
on Sanjay Jha's party. Sanjay Jha,
This is the way you
respond
want
to
to
that.
become
The
doctors and
Congress
engineers.
and
This is the way you
several
want to
Muslim
impose the thing.
politicians want to keep the poor Muslims poor and uneducated so that they remain vote banks. Sanjay Jha, respond to that allegation.
This is your own interpretation.
Yeah, you know, Gaurav,
This is your
Gaurav, you should tell
interpretation. This
Sambit
is not the
Patra to
way.
kindly have a lot more respect for the intelligence of the audience watching the program as well as for the
Audience
panelists.
knows
Maybe
that,
he doesn't, but he
Sanjay.
should not become so arrogant
our
and
audience knows
scornful.
that.
Let me tell you, please stop coming on the channel and crying crocodile tears for the minorities.
Why you want to
Are you
impose your
aware?
own
Sanjay Jha,
Are you
about the
aware that
intelligence
Mr.
the audience
Narendra
knows?
Modi's government? Somebody don't speak in the middle. Somebody don't speak in the middle.
Okay,
When Mr.
one
Narendra
person at a
Modi
time.
was Chief
Go on,
Minister of
Sanjay Jha.
Gujarat, his own government went against Gujarat High Court judgment that deemed the Sachar committee as constitutional. It wanted to contest that in the Supreme Court. It's actually contesting that. That is the commitment you have to the minorities in India. Please stop shedding crocodile tears and don't
Can I,
act like a
Gaurav?
spokesperson. I think the larger point, Gaurav,
I?
here is that this government's intentions have always been suspect. Because you can see how the RSS
But
is influencing
Sanjay Jha,
education
even the
in Gujarat
Sachar
to
committee
Veena
that you
Batra,
quote, even
and
the
how they are
Sachar
influencing
committee spoke of
institutions in India.
mainstreaming Madrasa education. The same Sachar committee that you quote also spoke of mainstreaming Madrasa education to bring Muslims at par with education that others are getting in the
Correct.
state. So why should Congress oppose mainstreaming of Madrasa education?
No, I think Mr. Rahmani's point, and I think I can understand the minority apprehensions under the Modi government. His point is larger, that end of day, is there an attempt? Because don't forget, the madrasa's origin is based also on the teaching of Islamic history, Islamic learning. I mean, that was the primary reason how it started. And later on, of course, it has been, into elementary, secondary and higher education and modern humanities and science and including computer applications.
You
So
have
I think the
almost been in
biggest fear
Oxford.
people have is that is this government trying trying to impose its own, version of language or history or culture or learning, which may be contrary to whatever, philosophies that the madrasas want to
Before I
basically
come to
follow
Dr.
independently,
Rahmani,
which they have a right
Sambit
as per
Patra,
the
do you want to quickly
Constitution.
respond to that?
Yes.
Is the BJP government interfering with religious education also?
I'll tell you. Look, first and foremost, let me bring into this whole front one of the most important things that I have not said as yet. Wednesday, that is yesterday, the whole thing went as a PIL to the Nagpur bench of Bombay High Court, and in fact the Bombay High Court refused our stay on this whole survey that is to be conducted tomorrow, that is 4th of July. That means the High Court was convinced that no, this is not polarization, this is not segregation, but rather this is mainstreaming of education system. And secondly, when Mr. Sanjay Jha tries to present the whole thing in a way that the madrasas are such integrated system, they teach almost everything under the sky, almost presenting the madrasa as the Oxford University, then we had no problem. We have no problems with madrasas which are functioning as Oxford universities, but with the rest of the madrasas which are not functioning in a similar pattern, all we are saying is, please, we have money for you. You buy the system which would teach all these 4 important subjects and learn these 4 subjects apart from the subject that is being taught to you. We are not interfering in any of their functioning. All that we are doing is value addition. And
Respond to that, Taslim Rahmani. Are you still opposed to this value addition that Sambit Patra talks about? There's no interference in religious teachings in madrasas.
Yes.
The only addition that the Maharashtra government is talking about is teach the subject that has been approved by the Maharashtra Education Board to be considered at par with all other schools in Maharashtra.
This is a very clear-cut violation of Article 30 and 29 of the Constitution of India. Madrasas are all free to decide whatever they want to educate, whatever curriculum they want to decide to teach to their pupil. This is their prerogative provided by the Constitution of India itself. So the Maharashtra government or any other state government or union government cannot impose their own terms and conditions for giving them grants, etc. Number 1 point. Number 2, I want to invite Sambit Patra to come with me and to come to some of the biggest madrasas of the country, and I will show him how it is almost computerized education, which is
why not take this same point to the smallest madrasa in Maharashtra? The big madrasas will be teaching great education. What about the smallest madrasa? There are 1,889 madrasas in Maharashtra. Dr. Rahmani, is it wrong if those madrasas teach mathematics? Is it wrong if those madrasas teach English? Is it wrong if those madrasas also teach science to the economically and educationally backward students if they are taught science, maths, English?
This is not a question, Gaurav, this is not a question of right or wrong. This is a question of curriculum and syllabus. Curriculum and syllabus, that in a particular institution, in particular expertise, what should be the syllabus? This is another question. Teaching mathematics, English, Hindi, some madrasas can choose, but some madrasas cannot, because these are the religious teaching institution, not the professional teaching institution. So why there is a phase? Let them choose what they want to teach. They have to become imam of the masjid. They have to become muazzin of the masjid. They have to become the preacher of the community. So they may not need to study mathematics. It's not important for. It may not be important for them.
Do you agree with that point of view, Sanjay Jha, that let madrasas, if they want to teach only the deen, only religious studies, then let them teach only that? Why force them why force Muslim students in these madrasas to learn science, maths, English or social studies? Sanjay Jha?
Gaurav, let me tell you, as per the Constitution, every religion is free to practice and have its own form of education over and above whatever may be the other infrastructure available for learning. That's one. Number two, all madrasas don't have to be necessarily homogeneous. They may have their own distinctive focus areas, and that's entirely their independence. Therefore, I'm saying that the government's decision in Maharashtra to recognize them is actually unconstitutional. It might even be contested in court. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen there. But the larger point is only 4 to 5% of Muslims go to madrasas. Let's not try and ignore that reality. And since Sambit Patra was quoting the Bombay High Court, can I ask Sambit Patra this question? Can you tell me, because I live in Mumbai, Sambit, and I know it, why did the Devendra Fadnavis government 1 year after the Bombay High Court has approved the 5% reservation for Muslims in education and jobs, why hasn't your government in Maharashtra not notified it? That is an explicit manifestation, Gaurav, of the intent of this government.
Okay.
You see, the reason why you and I are having this debate today
Yes.
is because this government's whole character, its credentials are
Gaurav.
hugely suspect when it comes to minorities.
Dr. Patra, respond to that
Gaurav,
before I
very
close the
straight
bulletin.
talk.
It's a serious allegation.
No,
the
very
Congress says
straight
three
talk,
things. Beef ban, 5% reservation for Muslim students. You've mothballed that proposal. And third is out of school madrasas if they don't follow Maharashtra government curriculum.
Number one, beef ban, whole issue in Bombay also went to the court. Went from the High Court to the Supreme Court, and it was approved, upheld by the Supreme Court. And let me quote from Supreme Court, one sentence of the Supreme Court said. The Supreme Court said that the cow dung, and I quote Supreme Court, the cow dung is more precious than a Kohinoor diamond.
5% reservation, 5% reservation for Muslim students in education
The Bharatiya
institutions.
Janata Party has always maintained and still continues to maintain that religious reservations are unconstitutional, and we do not want any kind of religious reservation in this country. As far as the madrasas are concerned, no one is interfering with the madrasa. We only want value addition because we want the poor Muslim kids also to learn, to be integrated with the system. There is nothing wrong in it, and those who are opposing are only doing because they sense a loss of their vote bank.